poorest looking guy on your street might actually be the richest. And the guy showing off his Tesla online, he might be drowning in debt. In America, wealth is invisible. And if you don't understand this, you'll spend your whole life chasing the wrong game. From the moment we're born, we're programmed. Bigger house means success. Expensive car means success. Designer clothes means success. But nobody tells you the truth. Most people who look rich are just good at spending money. And most people who are actually rich, they look boring. They don't impress people. They don't chase attention. They don't need validation because they already won. Let me tell you about Dave. Dave isn't special. He's not a genius. He's not lucky. He just did one thing consistently. Every single month he invested $300, $400, $500, no matter what. The market crashed. He stayed. The news scared him. He stayed. His friends quit. He stayed. While everyone else was reacting, Dave was compounding. And here's the crazy part. Dave doesn't feel rich. He still looks for discounts. He still drives the same car. He still lives like nothing changed. But his money, it's working harder than he ever did. Wealth isn't built by big moves. It's built by time. Time is the only thing you can't buy more of. Most people try to get rich fast, but the people who actually win get rich slowly and permanently. Fast money disappears. Slow money stays forever. In 2005, a young couple bought a small house. Nothing fancy. Just enough space for a family. They weren't thinking about investing. They just wanted a better life. Years passed. Kids grew up. Life happened. And without even realizing it, that small house became their biggest asset. Today, it's worth 3, maybe 4 times more. And they didn't do anything special. They just stayed. There's a group of people society ignores. Teachers, government workers, firefighters. They don't earn flashy salaries, but they have something most people don't. Certainty. A guaranteed paycheck for life. Do you know what that's worth? Millions. So if all these people are rich, why do they still feel broke? Because of comparison. You're not comparing your life to reality. You're comparing it to highlights, rented cars, borrowed watches, fake success. And slowly, it poisons your mind. Wealth is not a number. It's freedom. Freedom to say no. Freedom to take a break. Freedom to live life on your terms. If you can wake up without stress. If you don't fear bills. If you have time for the people you love, you're already rich. Stop chasing what looks rich. Start building what feels rich. Because in the end, nobody cares what you drove. Nobody remembers your watch. But you will remember how free you felt. So tell me, which one are you? The spender? The builder? Or the one who just woke up? Let me tell you something most people realize too late. It's not that they didn't make enough money. It's that they never learned how to feel rich. Because no matter how much you earn, if your lifestyle keeps growing faster than your income, you will always feel broke. There's always a bigger house, a better car, a more expensive vacation. And if you keep chasing that, you'll never arrive. But the people who actually win, they flip the game. Instead of asking, how can I earn more? They start asking, how much is enough? And that question changes everything. Because once you define enough, you stop being controlled. You stop needing approval. You stop running. And that's when life gets lighter. That's when money stops being stress and starts becoming freedom. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to show anything. You just need to build quietly and live intentionally. Because the truth is, the real flex in 2026 is not showing how much you spend. It's showing how little you need. Most people don't fail because they don't earn enough. They fail because they never learn how to control what they earn. At the beginning, everything feels small. A small upgrade, a small expense, a small reward for hard work. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels normal. But over time, those small decisions start stacking. One upgrade becomes another. One expense becomes a habit. One habit becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle becomes a responsibility you can't escape. Now you're not choosing your life anymore. Your life is choosing you. You wake up not because you want to, but because you have to. You work not because you love it, but because you can't afford to stop. You stay in situations you hate because leaving feels risky. And slowly, you lose control. This is how most people get trapped. Not in one big mistake, but in 1,000 small ones. On the other side, there are people who understand this early. They don't avoid money. They don't avoid success. They just move differently. They increase their income, but they don't increase their lifestyle at the same speed. They give themselves space to think, space to breathe. space to grow. They don't react to every desire. They question it. Do I really need this? Is this improving my life or just my image? And most of the time, they choose discipline over impulse. That's the difference. Not intelligence, not luck, just control. Because when you control your spending, you control your future. When you control your lifestyle, you control your freedom. And when you control your mind, everything else becomes easier. Most people chase comfort, but real growth comes from discomfort, from saying no when it's easy to say yes, from waiting when everyone else is rushing, from staying calm when others are panicking. That's where real strength is built. And that strength shows up later. When others are stressed, you're stable. When others are stuck, you have options. When others are tired, you have energy. Because you didn't waste everything trying to look successful. You focused on becoming secure. And security is silent. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It just exists. Quietly. Strongly. And the people who build it live differently. They don't fear losing everything because they never built a life that depends on showing off. They built a life that depends on stability. And that changes everything. Because now, you don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to compete. You don't need to prove your worth. You already know it. And when you reach that point, you stop chasing. You stop comparing. You stop rushing. You start living fully, calmly, on your own terms. And that is something most people never experience. Not because they couldn't, but because they never understood the game. So understand it now, before it's too late. Because the sooner you learn this, the sooner your life changes. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it becomes to escape. In the end, it was never about money. It was about control. It was about choices. It was about building a life that gives you peace. And if you can do that, you don't just win financially, you win in life.